Okay, it's recording now. And then I have to start recording the audio. Give me a little finger snap in the microphone so I can get it lined up real good. One big snap, Chris.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Wait, now that...
It's okay. Good, you're live.
Okay. Shit. I wasn't ready. Okay. You're going to have to do a lot of editing now. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Much Is Wrench Set. This will be a periodic podcast of anything and everything automotive and a lot of conversation in between. I want to thank everyone for listening. This is something that I've wanted to do for a while and just recently made the move to make it happen, and I really appreciate everyone's help along the way to get this potential mess off the ground. So we're here to talk about cars, trucks, engines, and just about everything that in some way, shape, or form relates to the good old-fashioned gearhead. With that, I'm Kyle. I have an extensive background in cars for the better part of half my life now. Everything from working as a mechanic at a dealership to diesel and heavy truck repair in my time in the military to what is now as my hobby and side gig. I've really found a profound love for everything automotive, old and new. There's certainly people out there that know a substantial amount more than myself about cars, and a large amount of people that know a lot less than myself. So somewhere in between, hopefully everyone listening can find something here that they can relate to or learn from. And if not, hey, we'll make this as entertaining as we can for some crazy gearheads. So my guest tonight is Chris. He's an avid car and truck mechanic, self-taught fabricator, and yeah, take it away, Chris.
My name is Chris Stiles, farmer by day. I enjoy short walks through the garage, spool of turbos, fabricating under the stars.
Fabricating under the stars. Is that with clothes on or off?
Debatable.
All right. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I've definitely turned some wrenches under the stars, but boy, I like it. I like it. Well, yeah, Chris, I appreciate you being here. Chris and I, we go pretty far back, known each other quite a while. He's one of those guys that every time I think I've resolved a problem on a car, he'll come along and say, no, that's not right. Let's do it this way. So
I just like to be somewhere interesting.
So who better to have on the inaugural podcast here? So, well, Rams.
Do you like them or not?
Rams. So
it's a controversial subject.
I have owned a lot of Rams, as have you. Let me see. My first truck was actually a Ram, 98, 5.2 two-wheel drive, and I thought it was king shits. I thought it was the best thing in the world, thought it was the biggest thing. Stock height, got stuck all the time, and I thought it was a killer. Man, when you're 16, you just think it's the best thing in the world. But how many of you own now? How many Rams?
Oh, probably 6. You did better than I did. My first was 96, V6, 3.9 liter, two-wheel drive, long bed. Still love that truck, though. 5-speed.
Wait, it's still around?
Well, no.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a second-gen Ram.
It's long rusted out and gone.
Man. I remember when I was a kid, I got so much flack for Rams because everyone was like, oh, Rams, that's a rich man's game. It was always the joke that Rams were like the most expensive ones. And they were for a long time.
Yeah, for a while.
And I feel like it's not the case anymore.
No. Ford's taking the cake with that.
Yeah. So I've got a 2016 Ram, 1500, 4x4, 5.7, kind of just your standard what you'd picture as a nice 1500 truck. And when I bought it, I was trying to buy a Ford. Man, they wanted like $5,000 or $6,000 more for the same truck, mid-grade.
Yeah. At least after Fiat took over, they did do it right by changing the interiors of them. It's one thing Dodge needed to do from day one. Their interiors have always sucked.
All right, folks, you're going to hear it here. The first disagreement on Much's inaugural podcast. The interiors went to hell in the third-gen Ram and on. Those seats with the gray seats with the pattern.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Look at them and they stain.
I didn't like any of the older ones. I like the newer ones.
But and now I found out you can't even get a dark interior unless it's leather. At least with my fourth gen. The only way I could get a non-tan or non-gray interior was to get leather. I couldn't get a black cloth like my 05.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I like about my 05 and my 04 I had. The dark interior because you could just get in, out, Never had to worry about getting the seats dirty.
And that's what's
Nothing you could see, at least.
and that's what's funny. Chris and I pretty much have had the same trucks. What year's the? You've still got a second gen, a green one. What year is that?
96.
But it's a different 96.
Yep, it's a 96. Got the 5.9 gasser in it. Short bed, extended cab. Love that truck.
It's lifted, isn't it?
Yep. Got about 3 inches of lift, running 35s on it.
Didn't it have a body lift?
Yep.
Because I sold you a brush guard in high school that it looked pretty bad on there.
Well, we raised it up. Ended up welding some brackets on the bottom of it to lift it up before it ended up stolen on the freeway.
I was going to say, yeah, that got hijacked.
Yeah.
Boy, probably still floating around out there somewhere. Man. So what Rams do you have currently?
I got a 05 Cummins, an 08 Cummins, and then that 96.
Which is funny because I had an 05 Cummins too. I feel like when we talk about those things, people are going to think we just traded them around.
That's one thing I love. I'll never get rid of my Cummins again.
You know, boy, so many people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but I sold it because it was falling apart. I sold it when I bought my 16 in 16, and man, it had 120,000 miles on it, and man, it was rough. It was ready for its third set of injectors. Some people have had a lot of luck with these things. I hadn't. But either way, I loved the truck. It was big. It was stock height. It was on 33 1250s. Stock height, all kinds of motor, exhaust work.
Suspension.
It was all stock suspension.
Oh, was it?
Well, except for rebuilding the entire front end and steering a few times.
Suspension.
Yeah, the standard stuff. But I didn't want to get rid of it. I mean, it was like, that was my dream truck pretty much, was that truck that I owned. Like, I was one of the fortunate few to own your dream truck. That's why I was so mad when it started giving me problems.
I'm still to this day surprised that you got rid of that truck.
And that's where I was going to say where people are going to get mad, because my wife had to hear so much complaining about this thing crapping out. I'd come home and be like, well, Cummins is fucked. It's done. All the time. I'd say, I need a new truck. Probably for a year I just complained about this thing. And then I finally did it, traded it for a 1500, which upset a lot of people, I think you included. I thought it was the right move at the time, but in hindsight, it definitely wasn't. And we'll get into that of why my 16 Ram was definitely a mistake to buy. But, yeah, I think I screwed up. My Ram has already depreciated more than, like, that thing had. And I owned my 05 for 8 years. And it depreciated less than my 16 has in 2.
Yeah, those Cummins hold their value. They do nothing but go up.
I really screwed up. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things, you do what you feel you need to in the moment, and what you feel is right, but yeah, it might have been a mistake. Well, and it works out that you still have 2, because I could just buy some of yours.
Good luck trying.
Well,
I just don't like how they've changed and, in my opinion, downgraded the suspension on the newer trucks, the 15s, or what was it? It'd be the 15 and newer, where they went to the coil spring and everything's just soft and.
Yeah. So I still haven't gotten used to that coil spring rear, because somebody was talking to me recently. They were like, well, Kyle, you haven't pulled a trailer in a while. I'm like, yeah, because I can't pull anything with that coil spring suspension. You put an unloaded flatbed on it and you're done. I mean, it's gonna be on the bump stop.
Yeah.
So it basically needs airbags to tow, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that'll disagree with this, but I just feel like it. I mean, when I put a couple people standing in it, the thing levels itself out.
I don't know if you get many people to disagree. I think that's why they upgraded and started putting airbags on them, is because of the towing problems they had.
Well, some hillbilly out there will complain. I tow everything with my stock 1500. It's fine.
If it rolls, it pulls, right?
And I could be just biased, too, because I'm coming from a 3/4 ton truck to a 1500 with coil spring rear suspension. And that was the other thing I didn't want to give up, was I actually like the solid front axle.
Yeah, I've always loved that.
Yeah, the IFS drives a little better, but I just liked having that solid front axle.
It drove like a truck. You could use it as a truck then. It wasn't a luxury pickup.
And that's kind of what they are now. They really are. And that's, I mean, it's been beaten to death, the topic, but they really are. I mean, they're luxury trucks. You can't just get a all metal, no fluff interior anymore. I mean, they just don't exist. And it's unfortunate, because when I bought this 16, I wanted I wanted the V8. I wanted the nice wheels, but I didn't want anything else. I didn't even need the touch screen. You had to get the touch screen. And then what else? There were a few other options I didn't even want, but they were like, well, if you get this, you got to get that. And it's like, well, shoot. Because, yeah, like you said, I mean, our 2500s, they're no frills. Your gray one's the same way. It's probably the same interior.
Pretty much.
You know, if you sell it to me, I'll probably just paint it black and say it's my old truck.
You could, but that's not
Except
happening.
for the trans. You're one of the rare people with a 6-speed.
Yeah, I do enjoy that. It's the G56 manual transmission in it. I love that thing.
Man, that's something else that's getting really hard to get. My wife's grandfather, he buys new F-250 single cab long beds. So, like, the definition of an old man's truck. In a good way. 4-wheel drives, gassers. And I think they told him this year, last year, but recently that it's not an option anymore. He couldn't even special order it.
Really?
Because he always had to special order them because nobody stocks them. But they told him no. I'm pretty sure, now I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they told him no more sticks. And this was Ford, so Ford's kind of setting the standard now. So I hope Dodge doesn't follow in that footsteps. And I assume, can you still get a stick in a Chevy? In the dirt
Yes.
box?
Yep.
You can?
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't think they're going to follow suit with that. I think it'd be a terrible idea on Ford's part. Although, I mean, I guess for all the kids out there, they're not shifting anymore.
Yeah. I saw a funny meme recently. It's probably been out there for years, but I saw it recently. It said, if you want to cripple an entire generation, just turn all the vehicles to manual transmission.
They'd be looking for their paddle stick levers.
They would. Have little Tiptronic shifters. They wouldn't be able to do anything. I don't know. I always thought sticks was easy to drive. I learned on a little 2.2 liter 4-cylinder S10.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I love those little S10s. Those were little bulletproof motors too.
I didn't like mine. It had 90,000 miles on it, and it was popping and banging. But it was used. I mean, you never know what kind of life they have. But I don't know. Stick's one of those funny things that I feel like eventually there will only be a couple manufacturers that are making them. I mean, you might be able to still get them in like the high-end sports cars and some of the muscle cars, but eventually, I mean, I think it's going to be just, well, that's how it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at
they just pull so much better, and it's just nice to be able to grab the gear that you need and go.
I agree.
Drop it into low, pull what you need to pull down.
And I'm part of the majority crowd so I work downtown in a very congested area. I take the freeway like everybody else in rush hour. So unfortunately, I fit into the majority of people where an automatic's kind of the best scenario. But my hot rod's a stick. I like driving sticks. If it's a fun car, if you're going to own a sports car, it should be a stick, depending on what it is. So at least I have the two, at least I can switch back and forth.
I never minded mine in traffic. I mean, pop her down into first, and it was a nice idle speed for traffic. It was perfect.
Well, and you've got a diesel, so you've got enough torque that you can probably just pull it through the RPM range.
Yeah.
I mean, how low do you, let's say you're in rush hour, how low of a gear will you go and how low of an RPM will you keep it at?
Oh, I just drop that down to about 500 RPM, just creeping along.
I'm sure the engine's loving that. 500 RPMs and diesel. That's,
she just
low.
chugs though.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they've got the torque. They can.
Yeah.
So you've just got the 3 now then.
Yep. Just got rid of I had what was that? 05 Hemi. Unfortunately, blew it up, so I got rid of it last year.
When did you have an 05 Hemi?
For years. Had 350,000 miles on it.
Nobody
blue
tells
one?
me anything.
Dark blue one?
I don't remember a blue Hemi.
Oh, yeah. Dark blue, 4-door, 350,000 when I blew it up. She burned a little oil and decided to take a ATV trip down to Wayne National Forest. Didn't pre-trip inspect.
Oh, the blue one. Oh, well, you had to remind me. You had to say the one that blew up.
Yeah.
And then I remembered it. Yeah. No, okay, yeah, I remember that.
Yep,
going
down through the hills. Yep, it was a 2500 and pegging out about pulling a 5,000-pound trailer with 4,000-pound four-wheelers on it and about 6,000 RPM. She didn't enjoy it.
No, I do remember that. I think it's because you said the 5.7, and I automatically think 1,500 when I hear 5.7. Because, well, that was, what year was that again?
05.
And you could still get a 3/4 ton Ram with a 5.7.
Yeah.
Now it's just the it's just the 6.4 gas.
And I tell you what, that is one truck that did impress me with all, Dodge and their transmissions. 350,000, stock transmission, original transmission, original transfer case, still chugging along.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get some listeners itching back and forth in their seats talking about Dodge transmissions. But,
I'm right there with them. I agree. I've put 4 transmissions in that 96 Ram of mine.
See, and I definitely need to knock on wood for this, but I've owned 5 Rams, and I've never had a trans problem. Now, like I said, on the inverse side of that, I also had a Cummins with 80,000 miles that needed injectors, so it's kind of like, which was better? But I haven't had a trans problem yet. So I always like being that, like, X factor. Where people are like, oh, well, Dodge is trans, and I can be like, I've never had a trans problem. Granted, it's probably I'm going to go to work tomorrow and it's going to blow, but...
Yeah, I haven't had very many problems with them. My that 96 1500 I had with the little V6 in it, I had the rear mounting ears break off of that one. I think it was NV 3500 maybe. It was a little 5-speed tranny. And then my 96, I'm not sure what I got in that, but I've had nothing but problems with that transmission. Really? Of course, I've overheated it multiple times off-roading it, so it probably didn't help the situation.
Why are you doing that?
Listen, when the opportunity presents itself.
I feel like I haven't done any good off-roading in several years. I mean, like, I feel like most of my prime off-roading was high school when, unfortunately, you don't really respect the vehicles. I used to just...
What do you mean it doesn't have a trans cooler?
Wait, yours didn't have a trans cooler?
No, they didn't come factory with a trans cooler.
What? How can you have a vehicle without a trans cooler?
Yeah, it just had this little tiny, well, I guess you could still call it a cooler, but did like nothing. Didn't disperse any heat. It was mounted clear down on the bottom of the frame under the vehicle.
Well, this is why they had all the trans problems then. Jeez, that's not a trans cooler. Well, I don't know. But are you happy with them now? Are you glad you got the 3?
Oh, yeah, I love them. I don't think I'd ever switch to anything else. I'll always have my Rams. Love my Cummins. Don't think I'll ever buy another truck other than Cummins.
Well, I mean, you ever owned a Power Stroke or Duramax?
I have not, no. I've driven them through work and multiple other friends, but I just don't enjoy them. I see everybody working on them, our work trucks, even though they're gassers, still work on everything on that truck way more than anything else. I just not impressed.
It's funny, we're probably going to we're going to cover subjects more divisive here than politics themselves here. Boy, between the Ford, Chevy, and Dodge thing. Yeah, we're
controversial subject.
We're going to lose listeners before we even have any. Like, don't listen to that podcast. They hate Ford or they hate Chevy.
I mean, really? I like Chevy. I love the 6.6s. The LB7's a great motor once they came out with it. I love, that they finally upgraded their interior from their stock, boring, plain, did for 20 years.
And
Ford, I've never been a Ford guy.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, I haven't either. I'm trying to think. I've owned enough cars that I have to think if I've owned a Ford. I haven't. No. Excuse me. But that's the funny thing. I don't really dislike anything. I don't really hate anything. As long as it gets you around, as long as you like it, it's fine. I've never really gotten into the whole Chevy sucks versus Ford versus Dodge. I never really got into all that. I mean, yeah, I'm mainly a Chevy guy and Dodge trucks, but I mean, I like the Fords. Like I said, I tried to buy one when I bought my 16 Ram. I tried to buy a Ford, and unfortunately, I was finally going to jump on the Ford bandwagon when they were too expensive. Coming into the game too late. I don't know, but yeah. But the new Cummins, they're pretty nice.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be a very nice truck. I do like that they've upped their torque ratings. Because probably the best truck that I would have bought is, I would have loved to have a 2012 Cummins with the high output motor in it, just 800 plus pound-feet of torque. The most torque they've ever had in a truck up to this point.
So why 2012? Was that just kind of your most recent recollection of that?
I know, 2011 at 11 and a half and 12 is when they had this high output. It was the most torque they'd had in one. It was the high output they put in them.
I like that. Well, 850. So I was reading the other day, they're up to 1,000 now. The 2019 heavy duty is going to have 1,000 foot-pounds.
Nice.
That blows my mind.
They're going to come with a hefty price tag.
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, they're probably going to start at. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know.
It wouldn't surprise me if we're talking not cabin chassis, just regular pickup truck with the normal features. I bet you 58,000 starting.
I could see it. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you'll still be able to get a single cab long bed, and those will be a little cheaper.
I see them getting away from a lot of the single cab stuff.
Oh, they are. I agree. They definitely are. But I mean, I don't think I think single cabs will outlast stick shifts.
Okay, I could agree with that.
Because they'll still be making the cab chassis, and those are single cabs. So they'll at least be still stamping single cabs.
Mm-hmm.
If they even stamp bodies anymore. I don't know. Bodies. It seems like everything's dipped in a plastic honeycomb and comes out the other side just cut with
that's
lasers.
the truth.
You know? I tell you. Speaking of that, the another fact about the Cummins, I was reading, they said the block is made of compacted graphite iron. It's still iron, but what is compacted graphite?
Well, hopefully it's better than their 53 block that they had.
Well, I mean, did they just break apart like a bunch of lead pencils and compact it all? I mean,
I have no clue. As long as it outlasts some of the other stuff.
Yeah, you're telling me. Like I said,
I mean, like that 53 block was probably the worst thing they ever made.
Now, which one was that?
Cummins, it's stamped right on the side. They call it the 53 block. It was stamped too thin near the water journals, so you could overheat it and crack it and over torque it like super easy. So, and that's being second gen trucks.
See, and I never
probably, yeah, like 99 to 01, I think they were.
See, I never
But
had
so
a
if you're
second-gen
ever buying a Cummins second gen, do not want the 53 block.
Now that wouldn't be the P-pump years, would it?
No.
Would that be the digital?
Yeah.
Maybe pre-digital, but it still had the what do you call it? CP3.
Yep.
Or could you get a CP3 pump on a second gen? Were those only the 03 and ups?
Oh, I think you could get them on the second gen.
Well,
I'll
comment
look
below
into
and
that.
let us know. Comment below and let us know what year the CPP digital or CP3. Wow.
You mentioned the P pump. What do you think of that?
I like P-pump trucks. They're I mean, they don't need anything to run.
Yep.
You know.
And you got so much power. I mean, you could put so much fuel to it, get so much power out of your truck with that P pump versus that CP3.
Yeah, and I remember a lot of like the true diesel heads were kind of mad when things went to digital, like with the common rail. People were pretty upset because they were like, well, now it's going to take it's going to take a network of IT people to tune our trucks. And yeah, that might be true, but you can make power, I'm not going to say easier, but I mean, you can make power in different ways.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people going back to the P pump.
Like conversions, or you mean just buying
conversions?
older ones?
No, doing conversions on them
Really?
on the 24 valves. Yeah.
Because I can't imagine buying a common rail and then changing it over to a P-pump. Boy, well, I guess if you want your 03 to 05 truck to run away from you. Because that's the one thing with the P-pumps. They could get away because there's no way to shut them off. I mean,
essentially little motors next to your motor.
Yeah, they really were. They really were. Man, it's funny. Not to go off a topic here, but I remember in the Army when we first got to Iraq, we had to basically sign over all the equipment, all the trucks from the unit that we were replacing there, and we had a good amount of 8x8 Hemmets, which were big Detroit diesel, twin charged. They had a turbo feeding like a Brutes blower on top of a big, I think it was a V8 Detroit diesel. It was like. I think it was either, I'm going to mess this up, it was either 671 cubic inches or 761, one of the two. But
Jeez.
Big mamma jam. But it's on an 8x8 cargo truck with, I think there were 54s, 8 of them. So you needed some power. Well, we're signing over equipment, we're starting the trucks. Half the stuff was broken for some reason, but we're checking everything out, idling trucks, shutting a lot of them off because a lot of them just were leaking everything. And start this Detroit diesel. It's idling, we're checking it out. We go through our list, sign off, we're good. Turn the switch, keeps running. All right. Well, this was such a common problem apparently with these trucks that there was actually like a little T handle built into the center console because it was a cab over chassis, or cab over engine, or what do you call them? The engine was actually up top behind us, but the cab was forward of the wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still a cab over engine.
Yeah. Okay. So it was a COE. So in the cab in the center there was a T handle. That was the fuel pump shut off, or the engine shut off. I don't know what it shut off, but it was supposed to shut off the engine. Well, and it was just a mechanical cable. And I remember I actually had to get in there. I'm pulling it. It's not doing anything. I'm like, oh, this, and I'm just a young private at this time. I don't know how to do it. I'm like, okay, I know how these things work, but I don't know how to shut one off. So I ended up standing on the seat, like with my back at the roof of this thing, standing up. I hope the viewers can see this here. Standing up, and with everything I had, I'm pulling on this T handle. Everything I had wouldn't shut off. We couldn't shut it off. We're like, what are we gonna do? I ended up having to go up top, open up the big engine cover, and take off the intake tube. So the turbo's just going crazy there. And I remember I got a clipboard, and I put it on the just stuck it onto the turbo, and it sucked it in. And the thing was pulling so much air that it found air within that suction, bent the clipboard a little bit, and kept running.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I'll be honest, I actually don't remember how I shut it off. I think I ended up just pushing on the board more, which actually could have gone really bad if it had like shattered my hand gone into the impeller. That would have made a hell of a sound. How'd you lose the side of your hand? Detroit's, I tell you. But yeah, I finally got it to shut off, man. But when it did shut off, I remember it wasn't like it just died. It like 100 RPM down. 100 RPM down. It finally died, and I was like, wow, this is awful.
It's a hell of a motor.
I don't think I've ever had a motor run away from me as far as like just spiked in RPM and took off. But I've definitely had one, just idle. What about you? You ever had that happen?
No, haven't had anything like that. We had one time we had a guy put about 100 gallons of unleaded in one of our tractors.
100 gallons?
Yeah.
So he didn't realize somewhere around that 97th click of the pump. That,
pulled up to it and, just pumping away, and come over and I'm like, what are you doing? The 5.9 Cummins in those, and that thing just took off. We were able to get it shut. I turned the key and it shut right back off. But I mean, that thing.
The engine took off.
Oh yeah,
fuel?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. Never thought it would do that, but shot straight through the roof in RPMs.
Really? Was that a P pump motor? Or were those common rails?
Common rails.
I wonder why it did that.
Don't know.
Because I've heard of a lot of people putting unleaded in diesels, and usually they just start puffing gray and white, and you know what you've done. I've never heard of one taking off from it though.
Yep. Really? That was the first one I've ever heard, and never seen it happen again. Never heard of it again. But
so what happened? Did it peg the rev limiter? Or?
Yep, pegged the rev limiter, and we jumped in, shut it off right then, and
yikes!
Wasn't too bad. Just drained it out, flushed the system, and everything was good to go again. But
you didn't? The injectors were good.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Didn't ruin anything.
Huh. That's pretty good.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. Gosh. I tell you, and that's the thing, with like kind of why I was just kind of done with my Cummins, because like the common rails, they were very, very fine-tuned for the fuel available at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, every little sensor in there, all the electronics, computer, everything was meant for fuel. And then, I don't remember what year exactly, but the government went to low sulfur diesel.
Uh-huh.
And in my opinion, those common rails just went, no. No, we can't take it. Because, I don't know, I got mine and it was good for a year or so, and then it just started acting up really bad and replaced the injectors, and it was good for another 5 years until I sold it. But until I sold it because the injectors are going out again. But I don't know, I just feel like the common rails can't handle low sulfur. I feel like Power Strokes can. Power Strokes seem to do okay with it, but then again, I've never owned one. I had some work trucks or I had a 7.3 work truck once, but
7.3s are good motors.
Yeah,
I have been impressed with Ford with the 7.3.
Yeah, well, that's why
good
everybody
motor.
was so upset when they got rid of them. I found out within the past couple of years why the 7.3 went away, because everyone's so mad that the 6.0 came out and that it's arguably junk. I didn't think it was junk. A lot of people think the 6.0 is just absolute garbage. I feel like some of them are good, but you know why it happened, right? The government came in and told Ford no more. They said your 7.3 is done. You need to, and it was something like, I'm gonna get this wrong, but it was something like 12 or 18 months they had from from the bottom to come up with a completely new motor that met EPA regulations.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. EPA doesn't surprise me. I'm worried about the next few years here in 2021. I think they're supposed to start another EPA issue with vehicles, and everybody's going to twin turbo, smaller motors, and I know Dodge or Ram's talking about getting rid of the Hemi, and I mean nobody wants to conform to the new EPA standards, so they're just talking about getting rid of their bigger motors. They don't want to lower their horsepower ratings in them.
Well, thank God for engineers. I tell you, everybody cusses out engineers. I know I do whenever I'm working on a car, but I mean, if it weren't for them coming up with new ideas, I mean, I think the V8 would have been gone 15 or 20 years ago if they,
Oh yeah,
they hadn't found a way to make them work. I mean, if V8s were still acting how they were in the mid 70s, we'd never come up with. If engineers had never redesigned them, they would have been gone a long time ago.
they've had some pitfalls with some motors, but
yeah. I mean, I think diesels would have gone away too for as far as non-commercial.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Shoot. Oh, the 6.0. Yeah. So a Ford buddy of mine told me about that because he's a 7.3 guy, huge. He loves them, but he also doesn't hate the 6.0s because he knows why. It's kind of the 6.0. It seems it's like a bastard child. Everybody hates it, but it's not its fault. Because he said the government just came in and was like, listen, you need to come up with a new diesel. You have X amount of time, and by this time, your 7.3 will not be produced anymore, so make it happen. And so that's why I think they have all the problems. I mean, when you only have a year and a half to come up with a motor from scratch.
Oh, so you're saying they just stopped their engineering on it essentially and just gave up on it and let it go?
No, I'm saying, look, folks, I'm just going to...
Here, son, get out.
Full disclaimer, I am not an engineer. I'm not even ASE certified. I mean, I consider myself a fairly good mechanic, but I'm not ASE, and I am as far from an engineer as you can get. I'm probably a better drunkard than I am an engineer. I can re-engineer some things, but I can't engineer anything. But, I mean, I understand the challenges. If you have a year and a half to come up with a complete... Because I think the architecture is different on the block, too, isn't it? I think it's a whole different block, heads, everything.
The 7.3 and the 6?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if you have to do all that in a year and a half, I mean...
Yeah, it's a big step.
Yeah. So, and then I'll be the first to say I don't really know much about the 6.4s, 6.7s. I haven't had much interaction with Power Strokes after whatever year they stopped making the 6-liter.
I don't know much about the 6.4. The 6.7, it's been a pretty decent motor. I've known a lot of people that have had that motor, other than when they put the plastic oil pan on it.
Plastic oil pan.
Yeah, there was one.
What was I saying about engineers being smart?
1 or 2 years. Oh, I don't even remember what year it was. I have to look it up. But Ford decided it was a good idea to put a plastic oil pan on the 6.7, which the 6.7 already had a problem with too thin of an oil pan in the first place, and it rusts out faster.
Well,
but
naturally, replace it with something that doesn't rust. Are we talking plastic, or like a composite between a plastic high density?
Yeah, it's plastic.
So you're saying if you hit it with a ball peen?
Oh yeah, you'll break it.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard about this.
Yep. They only did it for 1 or 2 years, I'm pretty sure.
Huh. Well, that's why, I guess.
But yeah, they had huge problems with that. The other oil pan that they were using was just too thin, and the elements were taking care of it, and they were coming in over and over to get oil pans replaced. And on a Super Duty, that's a problem.
But a plastic oil pan. I can still remember. This is crazy. I can still remember the very first time I saw a composite intake. It was on that guy Ryan's in high school. The guy had a 2001 Camaro, and that was really my first interaction with LSs. He had an LS1, and this would have been 04, so they'd already stopped making the 4th gen, but he was a fortunate enough guy. I don't know, family, or I know he worked a lot, but he was able to get enough money to get a several-year-old SS, and he popped the hood on this, and he's like, this is the LS1 and whatnot, and I'm like, why is the intake plastic? And by 04, a lot of things that had plastic intakes, but that was the first time I'd ever seen one. It was an LS1. That was my first interaction with a plastic intake, and it was, it's composite. I know it's not plastic, but I couldn't believe it. I was like, can you have plastic parts on an engine? And now, like you said, it seems like everything is plastic.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, but that's the difference, I guess, between new vehicles and old vehicles. I mean, everything back in the day was cast iron. Your water pump, cast iron. Now everything's Excuse me. Yeah, but, like I said, engineering, I feel like a lot of people are of the, because we're both muscle car guys.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have the mind that all new cars are junk. Everything made after, X years, just garbage. Everything's crap. And I don't buy into that theory. I mean,
There's definitely a learning curve to them.
yeah, but I mean, look, we're living in a day and age now where you can go to a Dodge dealership and get a 707 horsepower car.
Oh, yeah.
Just off the lot. And for not a crazy price, 60, 70?
Yeah.
Not cheap, but, I mean,
700 horsepower grocery getter.
we're living in a good day and age. And that's not even the highest. I mean, you can get the Trailhawk, the Jeep Trailhawk. That's got the Hellcat motor. I think it's, I don't know if the horsepower is the same, but I feel like it's right there. It's 700. So you can get a 700 horsepower SUV. I mean, we are living in a god dang good day.
Got the new Roush Raptors coming out, $120,000 truck.
120,000?
Yeah.
Boy, I feel like you're paying for a name there, because you can get a regular Raptor for a regular Raptor's not 100.
Oh, no, you can get them a couple years old for 50, 60,000.
Yeah, that's not cheap either. Folks, we're I tell you, we're not rich people. We make things work. We repair a lot of our own stuff. Both Chris and I have been working jobs for a lot of years, but I mean, we're still blue collar guys. We can't afford that. At least I definitely can't. I mean,
And why would you want to? What would life be if you couldn't fix your own stuff?
I know. I had a hard time buying my Ram when I did, because I had always said I'm never buying a brand new car. Can't afford it, don't need it, a few years old is good. And I bought this Ram, and it was the end of the year, so I got a good price on it. I was like, well, I can't afford it, why not? Which in hindsight was a terrible theory, but I don't know. Where was I going here? Got on a tangent there. No, just we're not living in a cheap day and age by any means, but we're living in a good day and age if you like, I mean, really anything. I mean, if you're into eco cars, we're living in a good day and age, because they're starting to make, well, I'm going to use air quotes here, but they're starting to make good looking eco cars that are trying. They're making quick eco cars, some of the Teslas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a variety. I mean, a variety of everything for anybody.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, it's a good day and age. So, and I'm almost 20 years behind now, because I just did my first LS1 swap last year.
Hey, but it's turned out awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I've got I hate to be this guy, but I've got a 69 Camaro. It's got an LS1. It's got the T56. Pulled it out of a 98 Camaro. And I wanted to do one for years and years and years. And finally just got the means and found a donor vehicle to do it, made it happen. And now I feel like the LS1 swap's old news. I feel like it's been old news for years.
That car has come so far. I mean, I remember you back in high school just working on that thing out in your garage, over to Jegs every minute of the day, getting motor.
Yeah, I bought this car in 2005. Bought the Camaro in 2005. I was a junior. Yeah, almost the end of junior year. I just wanted a hot rod, and the body work was done on it, because that's one thing I don't do. I'll again throw out a disclaimer. Don't do body work. Never will claim to be a paint and body guy. That takes a level of patience I've not yet discovered, as my wife could probably tell you. But no, it ran and drove with the numbers matching 307, but it was, I say run and drove, quotes. It was a mess. It was a mess of a car. But the shop that I bought it from had done the body, and I think that's why I was able to buy it, was because they were charging a good price because the body work was done, but mechanically it was a disaster. There was no interior. The underside was a mess. They welded in new floors. Somebody had welded in all new floors and just let them surface rust.
Yeah.
Didn't paint them. Didn't even leave the coating on, whatever coating came with them. I don't know. The car was a mess, but fast forward 14 years later. I was about to say 13, but no, we're in 19 here. Fast forward 14 years later, and I finally have done an LS1 swap. I don't know why I'm saying LS1 swap. LS1 swap. Finally did an LS swap, and now it's old news.
The motor still, though, it looks so good down in that car. It sits so nice and low.
I do love it. I do love my car. But
Got the nice 6-speed behind it.
I know, man. I was more excited about putting that 6-speed in the car than I was the motor. Because I bought it. It had the turbo 350, which I think it actually came with a power glide since it was a 307. I think it came with a power glide. But when I bought it, it had turbo 350. I replaced that with a built turbo 350 at one point with a crate motor, but I just always wanted a 6-speed. I really wanted an LS, but I even more so wanted a 6-speed. I used to have dreams about a 6-speed. I mean, that's how much I wouldn't have LS dreams, but I would have 6-speed dreams.
Well, the car's a blast to go around in now. I mean, compared to back in the day to now, I mean, the thing just hugs the corners. And
Yeah, but it's still, and you helped out quite a lot last year with some welding. I can't thank you enough. But speaking of that, there is more to be done. And
I'm ready.
We've talked a little bit about this. So the car, when I bought it, this shop had put new quarters on it, new floors, new trunk floor. I'm pretty sure new doors, or they tried to fix the doors. There's no Bondo in the car, but I mean the fab work is questionable at best. That's giving them something. But the rear frame rails are they're not shot, but they've got some rust in them. They need replaced. So, and I never realized how much they needed replaced until I got a stick shift in the car. And you bang some gears, especially downshifting. I mean, if I'm coming to a light and I go fourth to third to second, I mean, I can just feel the rear end flexing. And that's with the subframe connectors. You help me change over. But those are just bolt-ins, though.
yeah.
So now,
And they sufficed for what was, the motor that was in the car at the
they
time.
did. They were kind of just a Band-Aid. They were a good Band-Aid. They were the thick ones, not the little CVS Band-Aids. They were like a big, thick, good bandage.
Band-Aid brand, yeah.
But, yeah, so they were good ones. But those are coming out, and we're going to put weld-in subframe connectors in that are going to go through the floor, mount to the rear frame rail in the front, I guess more so into the torque box, but from the torque box through the body, and then mount both bolted in and welded into the front frame rail. So
It's going to stiffen this car up
so I will
dramatically.
Say, thank you so much for your time in advance. So that, and we're going to replace at least one portion of one of the frame rails. The other side, we haven't seen the extent of the rust yet.
Oh, that's right. You got a new box frame for it.
Yeah, got a new frame rail for the one side. The other side, need to do a little more inspection to see if we need a new rail or if we can just replace the torque box. I'm hoping we can get away with just the torque box. But that brings up another thing. I mean, you, in our group of friends, I mean, you and a few of the other guys, you guys are the big fabricating guys.
Enjoy fabricating. Love it. Build what you need when you need it. Don't have to rely on anybody. It's just a blast to do.
See, and I just never learned. Did you have somebody teach you?
No. Well, I did some work at a shop years and years ago, so I learned a lot from a guy named Charlie there. He was a good teacher. But other than that, just self-taught, just trial and error.
See, and that's pretty good because, folks, he does good work. Really, really good work. And you know you do, too.
That's what I try for. When I can get the return business, that's what counts.
So, I mean, yeah.
It's when people don't call you back that you got to go.
Yeah, and that's, doing side work. That's kind of the same thing. If you help somebody out, they're real appreciative, and then you don't hear from them 2 weeks later when you find out something else went on their car.
Yeah, you did a shitty job.
Yeah, and it happens. I mean, I've done a lot of good work on cars. I feel like the majority of my work is good, but every now and then I do a job that's probably not to par. But
it's a blast, though. I mean, being able to, for instance, in the Camaro, take things that are rotting out and, someone's going to throw away and get rid of that car, once it finishes it, you can make it new again.
Yeah, and we're trying. So you had a guide, starting out at least, but you would,
Yep, I learned a little bit of welding from him. Already dabbled in a little welding before I worked there, but he helped me start to learn a little bit of TIG and stick welding and a lot of different tricks with MIG, and just took off from there. Now I build a lot of our farm equipment now and love doing fabricating work on vehicles, and let's continue on with it.
See, and most people can't come up with that kind of quality to the point where they're self-taught. I mean, everybody needs a guy to start out, because I don't think welding is one of those things where you can, well, I suppose you could, but you'd probably fry some stuff, but you need somebody to at least say, like, X goes to Y, which goes to Z to start out, I would think.
I don't know. I mean, welding's a lot of feel. I mean, yeah, when you're first starting out, you're going to burn through stuff, you're going to warp stuff, and you're going to figure out, what you need to do to change that.
So you're saying don't start a restoration shop as soon as you buy your first welder?
That's probably a good idea.
Folks, take note here. Take note. If you're going to open a restoration shop, have an experienced welder, not the guy you got off Craigslist. Which I've heard good and bad stories about people getting welders off Craigslist.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good welders on Craigslist. There's a lot of bad welders on Craigslist.
Are you saying
you don't you don't know what people have run these machines at and overheated them, and who knows what they've done to them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I need to learn how to weld. I do. Maybe one day I'll do it, but
we'll start a course.
Well, let's do it. I don't know if a frame rail into a car is where the best place to learn how to weld is, but yeah, that's kind of a pivotal part. Maybe we'll start with some angle iron and cut in half and weld that back together. Somewhere in between there. But
I got some dumpsters that need rebuilding.
Yeah, you do, don't you? You got a big old dumpster in your driveway. One of those pull behind dumpsters.
Yep. Yeah, missing most of the floor.
You gonna be able to buy a sheet big enough to replace that?
Oh yeah, the steel companies around Columbus and Springfield are great to us, and have them cut whatever size you want. Go pick it up, throw it on the trailer. About 435 pounds. It's into the trailer.
435 pounds, no problem.
That's why it's key to have a forklift and a tractor.
Yeah. Well, I can't complain. I ask you to weld enough things for me, but yeah. So if you all of a sudden one day do a cookout for everybody unexpectedly, we'll know what's going on. I'm just kidding. You do plenty of cookouts, but yeah, I don't know, man. Fabricating is one of those things. I need to learn. I want to learn, but sometimes.
Well, you've essentially started. I mean, you made the center console in your car.
That was wood.
It's still fabrication.
Some sheets of plywood to make a center console. I think I was.
It turned out great.
I think I was better at what's the word? What do you call it?
Not sure where you're
upholstery.
going. Oh, okay.
Upholstery. Yeah, I think
that's one thing I hate to do upholstery.
No, I've never done upholstery at all. But I laid some vinyl down over some sheets of plywood and called it a center console.
I was impressed. One of our buddies we know, Andy. He actually does a really good job at upholstery.
Does he?
Yeah, he did got a couple telehandlers that needed new seats at work, and he had no problems putting that together.
Really?
Yep.
I
think he keeps it a secret so he doesn't get a whole bunch of business from
probably.
us.
That's smart. Yeah. No, upholsteries. I don't fucks with upholstery. No, that's a negative. Yeah. I mean, I try most anything with cars, but I don't do upholstery. I don't know how to weld. And paint and body again. I don't paint, but you've painted some cars, haven't you?
Yeah, paint and body is one of those things you have to be. It's just time consuming. You have to be willing to put in the time for it, and know that you're going to be there. You're going to be dirty,
Yeah.
And you just prep. It's all about the prep. Anybody can lay a paint job down, but if you don't have the good prep, it ain't going to look good. It ain't going to stick.
Well, if smoothing out mud on drywall is anything like prepping a body, I feel like I'll do just fine.
It's close.
Got enough experience in mud and drywall, but, well, who knows? Maybe one day. But, yeah, to kind of bring things full circle here, something I'd like to do with all my guests here, I'd like to talk about dream cars. Both reality versus... if the sky was the limit, whatever you could have. What is your realistic, something you could buy if maybe you had to sell one car, maybe you could afford it now. What's a dream car that you could actually obtain?
Man, cars. We talking new? Is this new car?
New, it can be anything. So that's why I say there's going to be dream car reality and dream car sky is the limit. So it could be new, it could be old, it could be a truck, it could be a
man, it would have to be dream truck. I'm not a huge car person. I mean, I'd love probably to have one of those high output 2012 Cummins. That'd be perfect for me.
That's your dream truck?
That's my dream truck.
That's too obtainable.
Oh, that's perfect. That's what I need. I like it. I would enjoy that.
2012. All right. Well.
Yep, have one of the rare, just couple year high output. That'll be something.
And see, some engineer, some poor lowly engineer right now is going, yeah, I did a good job that year. Now, what about sky's the limit?
Sky's the limit. I'd just love to have a nice old muscle car, nice Chevelle, 68 Chevelle.
You could do that.
I don't have. That
See, I
makes me
say
happy.
sky's the limit because I know eventually I'll get somebody on here that's like, well, of course a Bugatti, man.
No. See, working at that shop, I had lots of opportunities to drive a lot of high-end cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And, those just are not cars for me. They've got there's an ass for that seat, but it's not mine.
Well said. I like it. So a Chevelle.
Yep.
Well, it's kind of frustrating because that was one of my dream cars. Before I even bought the 69, I wanted a 68 or 69 Chevelle.
Nice red, black stripe. I can see it now.
Well,
it's my beard blowing out through the window.
Maybe one of us. Well, since this is, I hesitate to call it my dream car because obviously I bought the Camaro instead of the Chevelle, so I guess it wasn't too much my dream car. But, I mean, it was there. I wanted...
Well, that was opportunity.
I know. Well, it was. I mean, I think a Chevelle would have been the same money, maybe even cheaper. But, well, maybe one of us can buy it, and then we'll just take the other one around. So
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll trade it one day for a Chevelle. That's the problem with the car, with the 69 I've got. I've had it for so long that now I'm so much of my investment is emotion and time that I probably wouldn't even take twice what it's worth. Just because I've got so much time in it, I feel like
it's part of you.
It really is.
I wouldn't know what to do to come over into your garage and be like, what happened?
I know. Well.
And I do enjoy long walks through the garage.
I know. Not as much as I do. You get me drinking? Oh, I'll just wander around my garage. I've been in the same house for 9 years, and give me a 12-pack, and I'll just wander around my garage looking at crap, finding tools. Be like, I still have this car part? Man. But, okay. So realistic dream cars. I like it. Realistic goals. You could have both of those right now.
Both those would make me happy.
I like it. Realistic goals. Somebody on, who was it? I think it was Freiberger on that show Roadkill on YouTube.
Okay.
Well, it used to be on YouTube. Now it's on Motor Trend. But Roadkill, I think it was Freiberger who said, what did he say? Lower your standards. Or maybe it was Finnegan. It was one of the two of them. I don't know. They're pretty much one to me now. I don't know who says what. But I think it was Mike Finnegan. But he said, lower your standards. You'll never be disappointed.
I like it.
I think he said it while he was welding something, actually. Which... maybe that's not good. Maybe we won't use that quote.
Maybe that's why I stay happy in life.
You are a pretty happy guy. So Chris is one of those guys that is always optimistic. Somehow, some way, for better or worse, like he said, somebody will put 100 gallons of unleaded in a tractor. And these tractors are how much?
Those were about $270.
Yeah, so there you go. $250,000 tractor. Somebody just put 100 gallons. That's not like siphon it out. No, that's like calling a truck. 100 gallons unleaded in a tractor. And I'm sure you were frustrated, but you were probably more positive with that situation than any of us would have been.
Get her done, keep going.
Well, I like it. I tell you, Chris, that's why we get along so well. Because every time I'm shitting on something and saying we're doomed, you're like, nah, we'll make it. So, and there you go. Last question. Your favorite car you ever owned? Favorite car, favorite truck, since we know mainly a truck guy. What's your favorite vehicle?
'69 Fury.
Why did you have a 69 Plymouth?
Oh, years ago with my dad.
What?
Push button transmission.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, was that the Christine year? Or was Christine older? Was Christine like a 63?
I don't remember what year Christine was. That's a nice car.
You had a 69 Fury?
I love the push button transmission in those.
Well, I didn't know you then.
No, that was pre.
What was the condition of it?
It was rough.
And if Chris is saying that, again, with positivity, if Chris is saying it's rough.
No longer around, but it would have been nice if... I wish I would have kept it and done something with it, but...
What color was it?
White, gray, pink. It was a multitude of colors.
Oh, so it was rough.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Was it straight six or?
Yep.
Okay.
Straight six.
Or was it slant six?
No, it was a straight six.
I don't know my old Chryslers as well as the.
Yeah, we ended up trading computers for it, I believe.
What?
Yeah. And not the new fancy monitors, the old big.
You just traded a monitor for it?
Oh, a couple of them.
Oh, wow.
Yes, some guy had it in his backyard.
That's another thing about cars. Like, obviously, as cars get older, they increase in value. Most of them do. But, yeah, I mean, I remember beating up cars in high school that I look at now. Like, Camaros. Third-gen Camaros, which still some people have a sour taste about. But we used to beat the hell out of those in high school. And now you're paying decent money for them.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing how that changes over the years.
But I'm surprised to hear you say the Fury, because you like
I
your
love
Rams
those bigger
and trucks so much.
Oh, yeah.
You had a '69 Fury that was
See,
pink
I
and rough.
like those older cars, though. I mean, I love my trucks as my everyday drivers, but you just can't beat the older cars,
69?
especially the boats.
Oh, I thought you meant boats. Wow. I was like, wow, have you owned a boat? Some of us have owned boats. I haven't owned a boat, but that's, yeah, a '69 Fury. You'll have to find a picture of that someday for me.
Yeah. Another fun car. My dad had I think it was a '71 Eldorado. That was a fun car to drive around in.
'71 Caddy.
Yep.
Boy, did De Niro sign that over to you?
Brown with that baby shit brown interior.
I was picturing white. I was really hoping it was white.
No. It was that ugly color, but you could sleep on those seats.
Yeah, '71. So obviously it was leather.
Yep.
'71 Caddy.
Then power windows.
Yeah, that's right. Most of them did. Or was it all of them?
I don't know if it was all of them or not, but I was always impressed with that. And then, one thing, I was walking around our buddy Andy's garage, and he's got an old seat there out of one of his Impalas, and with the little ashtrays in the armrests.
Really? In the armrests?
I've just totally forgot. Everybody had ashtrays in the armrests or in the side panels of the cars.
When America knew its priority, smoking. And that's coming from a non-smoker.
Yep.
Nice. Well, Chris, I tell you, I appreciate you being here. I really do. Is there anything else you would like to say, tell everybody, ask anybody? Statements to be made?
No, I think it was a good show.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being here.
I'll be back.
Oh, well, good. Well, good. You better. I tell you, I've got a finite amount of friends. So. Yeah, I really appreciate everyone tuning in to, like I said, this inaugural Much as Wrench Set here. Like I said, just something I've always wanted to do, something that'll hopefully get better with time. So bear with us here. We'll try and always come up with new and better content. If you guys have any topics that you want to hear, if you want to cuss us out, really just anything, just feel free to comment down below. Just tell us what you liked about the podcast. Tell us what you didn't. Go easy.
I want to hear about your favorite cars.
Who, me?
Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see what people's got.
Well, that's true. Yeah, just talk to us. Just don't troll us. I shouldn't have said that. Now everybody's going to troll us. Hey, we can take it. No, really, though, I just appreciate everyone listening. And, this is just something that's kind of just something we want to do. There's a lot of people out there that know a lot more about cars than myself. There's a lot of people that know a lot less. And I just think somewhere in the middle, I want to tune into the people that like cars, know a little bit, or want to learn more. And we could just have some good conversation, learn a little bit, and have some fun doing it. And so hopefully you'll be able to learn something more and find something interesting on next edition of Much as Wrench Set. I appreciate everybody listening. We'll see you guys
Later.